Hey y'all, welcome back to Hopped Up Beer Review. Today we are drinking Hofstetten Granitbock from the Brauerei Hofstetten out of St. Martin, Austria. Thank you for joining us.
Hey everybody, welcome to Hopped Up Beer Review, the show where we give you our unprofessional, somewhat biased opinion about the beer that we're drinking and reviewing. We're back to do that once again. I've got Andy in the attic. There's Jay. I am Ben. Gentlemen, what are we drinking today?
Hofstetten Granitbock. Boom. Is this our first beer from Austria?
From where?
Austria.
As far as I know.
Yeah.
We've had Australian beer. We haven't had this one, though.
I can't think of any others.
Yep. Me either.
Hmm.
So you're going to explain the crown to us, Andrew?
Maybe.
Maybe.
Well, I am pouring.
It's been
How's
a while
everybody
since
doing
I
today?
had
Everybody
beer.
good? Everybody doing okay?
Yeah.
Check in on your mates.
Seems like it's been a while since we reviewed.
Yes.
It has been a hot minute.
Yeah. Corporate gave us a couple-week vacation here, so thanks, corporate. now they're cracking the whip, telling us to get back to work.
Time to review.
Cheers, mates.
Cheers, mates.
A little different take. Well, first thing off the bat, Ben, I just noticed you put up the Granitbock ice, and it's there. It is just regular Granitbock. There's a difference, so you'll have to go back and find the actual.
Let me fix that now.
Now, there you go.
Maybe I did, maybe I didn't. We'll see.
Yeah. Anyways, this is a Steinbier Bock. Steinbier meaning stone beer. Why do they call it a stone beer? It's a historical style of beer, traditionally found or dating back Central and Northern Europe until the beginning of the 20th century. It was traditionally, it wasn't mashed in steel kettles, the Steinbier, but in wooden tubs and brought to temperature by putting heated stones into the tubs. And it creates a caramel or slightly roasted flavors. Brauerei Hofstetten brews in the same manner, and they heat the granite stones till they're white hot, and then gives them that caramel and roast flavors, as well as a unique smoke flavor. They have a line of granite beers, and but they just wanted to make it a little stronger too. So
would that not boil off a lot?
It's just like
depends on the number of stones or things,
and
like
how
that.
hot you get it, because you got to heat.
Right.
You got to heat it up in heat it in the steel kettles. The vats they use are 120 years old, and they add the yeast after it cools, and it's lagered unfiltered 6 months in the cellar.
So are they still using the wooden vats?
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting.
And
put a white hot stone into a wooden vat.
But it's filled with fluid, so it'll.
Yeah, I know. It cools instantly.
This beer can be cellared for 3 years, for another 3 years, he said. I saw this when I was in Helen, and I was like, oh, it's a German beer, but it looked more like a craft beer, even though like a newer style to me, but I did not know that at the time, because as you see the label, it doesn't look like some of your traditional old world German beers that are imported here that we see. You know, those they've got the Bavarian flag and they've got a little village or people in the traditional style wear. So this, I thought it was more recent. No, this brewery's been around since 1229, as it says on the bottle, which I didn't pick up on that. Let's say 1229. Yeah, it's an old brewery. And I keep saying German because Austria and German is the language in Austria, but it is an Austrian brewery. It is, in fact, the oldest brewery in Austria. It's in St. Martin. It started as a tavern in the Piepersteiner Dominion. Back then, there weren't countries, you know, like you didn't have Austria, you didn't have Germany. Back in 1229, there were kingdoms. So, and this was the dominion of, at that time, whatever was, I mean, was that, I don't know enough about the history. I don't know if that was the Ottoman Empire yet. It was still.
Yeah. They all have the territorial battles too. So. It's interesting you bring up the label. I would suspect, you know, just looking at the label, they probably incorporated some of the old world with the new world marketing there.
Yeah.
You know, to make it kind of pop.
I haven't seen any historical labels. So it was this tavern along the Salt Road from the Danube River to Bohemia. Bohemia currently is, at this time, is around Western Czech Republic. So, which sits north of Austria. At the time, it was common practice for taverns to brew their own beer, and it was traditionally done by the housewife of the tavern owner. It still is a microbrewery, but in 1847, ownership changed, and it started being run by the Kramer family, because the tavern at the time was deeply indebted and unable to pay for the livestock that Caspar Kramer delivered. And he was a Bohemian animal trader. So couldn't pay his debt to him. Gave him the brewery to pay his debt. The tavern. It is currently in the 5th generation of Kramer being run. Here's to
the Cosmos in there.
Yeah.
All right.
Let's mention Kramer.
Yeah. Jay, I think you were alluding to this a little bit. There's a little bit of unfiltered goodness in there, right?
Yeah, when I poured the last of mine in the glass, it had some sediment. It's just some of it's still floating in there. I don't know if you can see that real closely, but floating throughout, and then a little bit on the bottom.
Yeah,
all that yeasty goodness.
All right. I'm going to assume nobody's had this one. And given the break, I think, Jay, you go first.
It's my turn, right? Yeah.
Yeah. You've had a few weeks off, sir.
Right. Yeah. And Andy's been talking for 10 minutes or so.
Yapping.
And he had to do the intro on this one. It's an interesting beer. The first few sips I had were kind of some of that malty caramel goodness. And then I took another sip, and it's almost like I got the caramelness, and then there was a bitter that caught me a little bit off guard. I loved hearing about the process that they use for this, Andy. Thank you for the history on that. It confuses me as a beer. I don't know what to exactly think of it. But I like it. I mean, it's not something I'd pass up if someone offered it to me in the future. And I'm like Andy, it's something that would have intrigued me if I was walking by to purchase it. So, I think it's a 7 for me. Just the malty caramelness is not as much as I would like to get out of it, and then the bitter confuses it. So, just my opinion.
Well, that is what we were asking for, and here is I'll go ahead and give mine. So I'm confused by the label in the. I don't know that this would catch my eye, honestly.
Well, I will explain. Because at Helen, they got all those beers right there, and you've got all those traditional labels, but then you had this one sticking out. So it was something different.
I can
But
see that.
you and I, excuse me, having been there multiple times and taken beer from there, have tried a lot of the beer that they had there. So I wanted to get something that I hadn't had too, that we hadn't
Yeah.
had to review.
So for
That makes
me,
sense. That makes
why it
sense.
would jump out for me, this is a big bottle.
Big
It's
boy.
the one pint, 0.09 ounces. So it's more than a glass full. And it's also 7.3% ABV. And when I read the description of it, it talked a little bit about a smoke flavor, which I don't get a whole lot of that, which I was kind of hoping I'd get more of.
Yeah. No, those are valid points, especially the big bottle. And then, of course, like you said, Andy, we've seen the lineup in Helen here a couple of times, brought a lot of beer out of Helen. We're talking about Helen, Georgia, if you haven't been there. But yeah, I think that's if I saw this at, like, let's say, what's the place in Birmingham?
Hop City.
Hop City. I don't know that it would stand out in a big mixture of, lots of stuff I hadn't had. Anyway, the malty caramelness on this beer to me is kind of the main feature, right? Jay, you mentioned that bitter. That was on the very first sip I took, the bitter took me back as well. And I was wondering if anybody else was going to mention it. I definitely took that first sip or two, and I was like, oh, the back end, I was like, yeah, it's a little bittery. It's still a little bit of that lingers after it has kind of settled down, but not enough that I would have noticed it without that first sip. I think this one though, I like this one a lot. I think it has a lot of great flavor. Just again, the malts are really good in this one to me. And it'd be one I would love to get often, just because of that. It's a little different, and it may be that stone caramelization, piece that we may not get in other beers. So this one's an 8, very easily for me. I really like it. So that's where I stand. Andy.
First couple sips, all caramel malt. I didn't get the bitter till like sip 3 or 4. And I agree. I was wanting the smoke, and it's just not bringing the smoke. I want that smoke.
If you're to judge it blindly, I mean, not knowing that, it's different.
Not knowing it, I think I would still give it the same score. Still having the same expectation, with or without the expectation of smoke. More caramel than I'd want. That bitter taste, and I was for a couple minutes now, I've been trying to place it. Do y'all think it's like a black licorice kind of taste to y'all? It's reminiscent to me of that.
Could be a fringe, yeah.
Not maybe.
It's not full on, but
it's not a hot
definitely
bitterness.
different.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. And maybe it's bringing on some more of the other range of the malt, more biscuit or bread. Melba toast.
I think a black licorice is not a bad thought, because it's almost, to me, a little waxy. Like when you get, that kind of like a Twizzler or something,
Yeah,
with that licorice kind of thing,
it's like coating the tongue a little.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah. And I like a Bach, but yeah, 7. It was between 6.5 and 7, but I'll keep it at a 7. I do. That's coating my tongue again with black licorice. I'm not a fan of black licorice.
Oh Lord!
I'll keep it there at a 7. Yeah.
Take another sip, and
I mean, I've already given the score. I can't change it now.
We know you. That is going to be a 7.3 for the Granitbock. Definitely one. If you tried, let us know what you think about it. Do you come up with a bitter? Does it taste like black licorice? What do you think? Leave us a comment down below. We'd love to see that. Or hop in our Hopped Up Beer Review Discord server. It is a chat room. The three of us are there, as well as the others who have joined us. Got some other links down below for some merch and some glassware that we showcase on this show from time to time. So check all of that out when you get a chance. Definitely appreciate you checking out this video. Be sure to like, subscribe, cheers, that notification bell. We are trying to make it to 500 by the end of 2025. And would love your help with that. Gents, it's good to be back in the saddle here. Corporate is going to be really getting on us to push these things out. So, you guys, buckle up. Randy in the attic and Jay, I'm Ben. Cheers, mates.
Cheers, mates.
Cheers, mates.